500 Days of Summer is an indie movie that has followed me since I saw it as a teenager in 2016. It came out in 2009 and is still considered a rom-com classic to this day. It is widely rewatched and loved due to how genuine and sensitive the movie is. It tells the tale of heartbreak, perspectives, expectations, realities, and just classic love in a more genuine way than other movies. It gives the viewer only one perspective, so the audience feels the same desperation, anger, and confusion that Tom, our protagonist, feels. Now, the first time that I watched this movie, I didn't like it. I didn't get it, and I couldn't relate. Being as someone who came from a world of Bollywood, where every love is exaggerated and destined to last forever in different lifetimes, I found 500 Days of Summer to be whitewashed. But as I grew older, and I continued to rewatch this movie, and had my own experiences, I learned something new each time, and started to appreciate the reality of the movie. Even though I didn't find it relatable at first, the visuals, the creativity, the personality, and the writing of the film drew me in every time, no matter how confused the ending left me. I just didn't get what the movie was trying to say at first. But as I've gotten older, I think I've learned that the movie says a lot of different things from the perspectives of both Tom and Summer about love, expectations, and realities. And that's what we're here to talk about, the realistic highs and lows of Tom. Tom and Summer are introduced to us as children, and their lives are illustrated with narrations on how they were raised. Tom was raised to be a hopeless romantic, with his taste in music and his misreading of the movie The Graduate being big factors as to why he acts and feels the way that he does in this film. And Summer is introduced as someone who doesn't believe that true love exists due to the divorce of her parents. She focuses on being an independent woman and doesn't see relationships of great importance because she's seen how fragile the marriage between her own parents was. And her childhood is a big reason why she feels and acts the way she does in the movie, even if it is subconsciously. But what happens when these characters with opposing ideals meet?
Tom meets Summer on January 8th. He knows almost immediately she's who he's been searching for.
For Tom, it's a moment of destiny, fate, and the proof of the existence of his soulmate. But for Summer, it isn't anything meaningful. How these characters feel about these larger-than-life concepts of love, destiny, and fate are changed by the end of the movie because of their relationship and the effect that they had on one another.
I love the Smiths.
Sorry?
I said I love the Smiths.
Holy shit.
Idolizing someone, we've all done it. We've all been there. We all think that a person who has the same tastes as us is meant for us.
Just because some cute girl likes the same bizarro crap you do, that doesn't make her your soulmate, Tom.
What do you mean?
We get blinded by that, and we aren't able to see the flags that may break our hearts later on. The first flag for Tom as a character was obviously during the bar convo, where Summer mentioned that she isn't interested in having a boyfriend, but still starts a casual relationship with Tom.
I just don't feel comfortable being anyone's girlfriend. I don't actually feel comfortable being anyone's anything, you know?
Tom and Summer talk at the bar and have a conversation about their different ideals and views. Here we see Tom fully enveloped by the promise of love, and Summer being ignorant towards it. He strongly believes that he can convince Summer out of her view of love.
There's no such thing as love, it's fantasy. What is it that I'm missing then?
I think you know when you feel it.
But aside their differences, they then become involved, Tom wanting it to be romantic and Summer wanting it to be casual. And from this point onwards, Tom is fully in Summer's world, as shown through the color palette of the film. Tom forgets where Summer stands in terms of relationships. She doesn't want a partner, and this can be connected to her upbringing. But still, Tom is convinced that he can make her fall in love.
It's love, it's not Santa Claus. I don't know how to tell you this, man. There's a Chinese family in our bathroom.
This part of the movie illustrates the highs of the relationship between Tom and Summer. They go on IKEA dates, watch movies, look at records, and we've all been in a relationship where we decide to ignore all the problems, issues, and flags, and just hope for the best when we feel so strongly for a person. And when we have those good moments, life quite literally feels like... Things get more and more personal for Tom as he takes Summer to all of his favorite places. He completely opens himself up to her, and the bench becomes their spot. He shows Summer his vision for the city, and Summer openly accepts his creativity and pushes him towards it.
Please, I don't know anything about architecture.
Well, the buildings need to be integrated better, so You can maximize light capacity here.
And in return, Summer opens up her world to him as they talk about dreams and have those close, intimate moments. Tom fully gets submerged in Summer as she says,
I've never told anybody that before.
I guess I'm not just anybody.
And this is a big reason why I don't think Tom is the villain of the story. Summer did mention her boundaries, but actions matter too, and it's not fair to Tom. And I'm not saying that Tom is innocent here either. He should have stayed true to the boundaries and been cautious, but I do think that he was thinking more emotionally, where Summer was thinking logically. And here we have another incredibly relatable moment, where Tom actually goes forward to ask Summer what they are, attempting to put a label on it. But Summer deflects, and as Tom doesn't want to ruin the good that they have, he just goes along with it, which is a very human decision and a very human moment.
I mean, like, what are we, like, what's going on here with us?
I don't know. Who cares? I'm happy. Aren't you happy?
Yeah.
And this is why the movie appeals to so many people at my age. A lot of relationships just don't have labels on them. And making a relationship mean something is hard to do. Commitment is hard to do when you aren't fully in it. And Summer clearly encapsulates that. We see a montage of the highs and lows of Tom and Summer's relationship through Tom's perspective once they break up. Life seemed to be creative, inspiring, perfect when Summer was around.
How about... I love us.
But in the present, it all seemed bleak and dark. Tom clearly put too much of himself into the relationship, and he lost his sense of self when Summer left him. And this is why this movie is so important. Love blinds, and if you aren't sure of who you are, then moments and situations like this can damage your day-to-day life if you let it. And this is something that everyone goes through. One-sided love, putting too much of yourself into a relationship, and being left with nothing when it ends. Summer and Tom meet at a wedding, and things feel hopeful for Tom again. Tom's life is filled with color again as soon as they meet. She literally colors his life. They hang out, dance together, go over older memories. They get comfortable throughout the entire trip, and Tom is hopeful again. Moments like them dancing and her falling asleep on Tom's shoulder give him hope. And the final little clip montage of the movie strongly illustrates Tom's mindset at this point in the film. His friend Paul perfectly illustrates that chasing someone that you think is perfect isn't the right move, and that the girl of his dreams simply just won't ever exist, and that reality works differently.
It'd be different hair. Probably, you know, she'd probably be a little more into sports, but truthfully, Robin's better than the girl of my dreams. She's real.
He's left so confused by everything that he can't even answer what love is to him.
Tom walked to her apartment, intoxicated by the promise of the evening. He believed that this time, his expectations would align with reality.
The downfall of Tom starts off with one of the most creative shots I've ever seen, depicting the expectations and reality of the evening with Summer. Tom's expectations were simply moments of affection with Summer, but in reality, she was distant and doing her own thing. And one thing that's always bothered me about Summer in this scene and in previous scenes is that she always criticizes Tom's line of work, even though they both worked at the same place together.
I write greeting cards.
But Tom could be a really great architect if he wanted to be.
I've always felt like the fact that Tom was never willing to make that push to become an architect turned Summer off, because she mentions it a few times in the film. And one of the moments where Summer really gives Tom affection and attention is when he shows her that side of him that understands the world and architecture, his creative side. But alas, Tom and Summer's story finally ends when he catches a glimpse of her engagement ring, where his entire world seems to be erased. The idea of love is quite literally erased from his mind at this point in the story.
I love you. That's sweet. Ain't love grand? This is exactly what I'm talking about. What does that even mean? Love.
After a couple of days of Tom being heartbroken in bed, he decides to go to work, where he experiences his first major turning point in the film. Tom has two main turning points in the movie, one that happens here, where he refutes love and accepts that it doesn't exist, and one at the end of the movie, where he regresses, once he finds someone that matches his own world and complements him as a person. In this scene, he gives a heartfelt speech on how he feels like love is shallow.
What does that even mean? Love. It's these cards. And the movies and the pop songs, they're to blame for all the lies. And the heartache. Everything. And we're responsible. I'm responsible.
Tom is clearly hurting, and he blames the world for how love is represented, and he blames his younger self for believing in love, and he finally believes that it doesn't exist. All thanks to Summer. He's given the advice to look back and look for the moments where things went wrong between them, and as he goes down memory lane and finds all the good moments, like a walk in the city, the IKEA date, or a cute drive, he also notices the bad, like when he stood up for Summer and she was just nonchalant about it. All of the moments leading up to their breakup are highlighted, showing Tom that the relationship wasn't as perfect as Tom thought it was, and he surprisingly didn't even realize it, even after Summer sobbed during The Graduate. Connecting the movie The Graduate to 500 Days of Summer illustrates a parallel between the main characters, where the couple at the end of The Graduate run away from a wedding, as the dude steals the girl from her husband-to-be. They run away from the church, and it's all fun in the moment, escaping like that, but the final look on their faces depicts uncertainty and sadness. So it looks like Tom took this final scene in the movie as a positive moment, where two soulmates finally make it work, no matter what the circumstances were. And Summer definitely caught on to their uncertainty, and how they weren't sure of their decision. Even though the leads in The Graduate were all caught up in the fun, when things got real, they weren't sure if they made the right decision. And this is a direct parallel to Tom and Summer's relationship. It was all fun until things got real. Summer, being the unsure one, learned that in this moment, this wasn't something that she could compromise on, and thus she breaks up with Tom. Tom is heartbroken and is in a really bad place. He doesn't leave his bed for days, and we get a fluid transition from him bouncing a ball into him finally doing something for himself in the movie. He finally decides to grow as a person. This montage with the music and the creative shots is just so fun to watch. Him wiping his blackboard as he internally wipes his slate clean and decides to move forward, putting his energy and time into architecture, a dream that he didn't fully chase. The montage takes us through his interviews and him just doing what he likes doing, exemplifying his talents. A very realistic scene that shows the loneliness after a breakup, where you're just lost in your own head, but we see Tom finding a way out and finding a constructive outlet for all of the negativity that he's just experienced. This montage is coupled with some juxtaposition between Summer and Tom's life, her getting married and him living his life solo. And so, we're taken back to the bench, Tom's favorite place in the city. After everything that's changed, that's the one spot that has stayed the same. He sits on that bench as he hears a familiar voice call out behind him. It's Summer, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays this scene perfectly as a guy that is still in love and heartbroken, but still a bit spiteful. He makes some really subtle jabs at Summer during the scene, which in my opinion was needed. He starts off by directly confronting her, letting her know that it wasn't right to not tell him that she was with someone, as they danced and hung out at the wedding, giving him hope. Admittedly, she didn't promise him anything, but as two people that shared so much together, Tom definitely was owed that piece of information. But in Summer's defense, it was her just saying,
Because I wanted to.
And I love Tom's rebuttal.
You just do what you want, don't you?
Which she really needed to hear. Throughout the entire movie, Summer did whatever she wanted and always got her way. She didn't promise Tom anything, but actions matter in situations like this. You can't say one thing and then act a completely different way. She knew how invested Tom was in the relationship, and she still danced with him while she was with someone else. Aside that, the one thing that I can side with Summer on is her uncertainty. Tom just wasn't it for her. She just didn't see him as someone that she could marry for whatever reason. That's the point of the movie. It shows us one-sided love from Tom's perspective entirely. And as the audience, we latch onto that and we're meant to side with him. We aren't given much explicit perspective into Summer's mind and what she might be feeling, but this one line is more than enough to describe it.
You never wanted to be anybody's girlfriend, and now you're somebody's wife.
I just woke up one day and I knew.
Knew what?
What I was never sure of with you.
The music trickles in, and Tom's expression says it all. He just wasn't enough for her. Maybe it was his personality, or career, or his over-affection, or his neediness. We won't ever know. But the point is, she just didn't love him strongly enough. And everyone deserves that one person that they can say they love without hesitation. And then we see Tom go over how he's sure that fate and destiny and soulmates don't exist. A reference back to his speech at the office.
You know what sucks? Realizing that everything you believe in is complete and utter bullshit.
What do you mean?
You know, destiny and soulmates, true love, and all that childhood fairy tale nonsense.
Anyone would be disheartened after going through something like this. But interestingly enough, we learned that Summer started to believe in love and found her future partner because of Tom. He taught her that fate and soulmates can exist. When Summer truly fell in love for the first time, she understood what Tom was talking about and how it's a miracle to find someone and fall in love with them, as she explains here.
I was sitting in a deli and reading Dorian Gray, and a guy comes up to me and asks me about it, and now he's my husband. So what if I'd gone to the movies? What if I'd gotten there 10 minutes later? It was meant to be. And I just kept thinking, Tom was right.
No.
Yeah, I did. It just wasn't me that you were right about.
And so she lets Tom go by letting him know that all of those things exist and that she just didn't feel it with him, letting him know that he'll find the right person. A tough thing to hear for Tom as Summer grabs his hand for the last time and Tom heart-wrenchingly looks at her for the last time. Tom now has the closure he's needed and enters a building with a color palette that suits him, brown and black, like his eyes, outfit, and hair. He's finally in his own world, and he's done being consumed by Summers. And as he waits for his interview, he meets a girl interviewing for the same position. They have some banter and recognize their similarities, and how they both have the same favorite spot in the city. And although Tom hits it off with this girl instantly, he won't forget his previous experience with Summer. Destiny, soulmates, fate, they just don't exist to him anymore. It's all a coincidence that he met this girl. Fate had nothing to do with it. A complete contrast as to how he was when he first met Summer. He gets up for his interview and leaves this girl behind. Love doesn't exist to him anymore. And the narrator does a great job of illustrating Tom's double mind. First convincing himself that love doesn't exist as best as he can, until the doubt of it existing urges him to turn back one last time.
If Tom had learned anything, it was that you can't ascribe great cosmic significance to a simple earthly event. Coincidence, that's all anything ever is. Tom had finally learned there's no such thing as fate. Nothing is meant to be. He knew. He was sure of it now. Tom was...
Sorry, I just left, can I... One second.
He was pretty sure.
He regresses in this moment, which is the second turning point in the film for him as a character. He goes back and gives it a shot with this girl.
My name's Tom.
Nice to meet you. I'm Autumn.
And once he learns that her name is Autumn, Tom looks into the camera, at us, the audience, and with nothing but an expression, he declares that love does exist. Soulmates do exist. The name itself shows us that for Tom, love can't be a coincidence. Her name being Autumn, right after his relationship with Summer, it has to be proof that fate and destiny exist. This 10-minute scene beautifully shows the complexity of human emotion. We usually see characters in fiction having a straightforward arc where a character is changed by his experiences, but in real life, we regress as human beings and we go back to our old ways, as depicted so beautifully in the scene. And those complexities are what make this movie so human and so genuine. And so we start at day one, the beginning of a new season and a new person, as Tom moves forward into a new relationship. Him being at a better place this time, all thanks to Summer and what she taught him about love. He needed her as much as she needed him, not to be together, but to move forward in life without each other. We've all been Summers and Toms at different points in our lives. We may love a person who doesn't love us back, or we may just be having fun with the person without wanting to put a label on it. And the great thing about this movie is that as you grow older and form your own relationships, you can relate to a new side every time you watch it. It's important to realize that we are the sum of all of our experiences, and this movie gracefully illustrates that, as Tom and Summer are both people that needed each other at this point in their lives. They needed to experience one another in order to learn what love is. And so this movie is about that one person that teaches you about love, what it is, what it isn't, and what it can be.